It did not happen in secret. That was the first cruelty. The sale took place in daylight, at the edge of the market square, where livestock were usually tethered, where grain sacks were weighed, where people paused, not because they were shocked, but because it was familiar. She stood beside the post, hands folded, eyes lowered, no rope around her wrists, no chains, just silence. The silence did the work. Her husband cleared his throat, once, then again. He held a folded paper in one hand, a receipt, not written in ink, meant to last, just charcoal, temporary, like her place in his life. He did not look at her, not even when the crowd leaned closer, not even when someone laughed. He spoke to the men, not to her. She's strong. A pause. She knows the house. Another pause. She won't argue. That earned nods. Approval, not kindness. Calculation. She felt the wind shift, cold through the thin fabric at her shoulders. Someone whispered her name. She did not turn. If she turned, it would be real. If she stayed still, it might pass like weather. But it didn't pass. A man stepped forward, older, wider, smelled of ale and leather. He asked one question. How much debt? Her husband answered too quickly. All of it. The word landed heavy. Not a number, a weight. The man considered her then. Not her face, her hands, her back, her silence. She come with clothes? A shrug. She come as she is. The man nodded, reached into his coat. Coins clinked. Not many, but enough. They were counted slowly, deliberately, so everyone could see, so she could hear each one strike the wood. She did not cry. That disappointed someone. She did not beg. That disappointed more. The last coin dropped. The paper changed hands. The husband exhaled. Relief, not grief. He turned away. Just like that. No goodbye, no explanation, no apology. The crowd dispersed, already thinking of bread, of weather, of their own problems. The man who paid took her arm, firm, not cruel, not gentle, just final. They walked, past the stalls, past the river bend, past the place she used to sit when she still believed in waiting. She did not look back. There was nothing there. They called it custom. That was the word used later. Custom softened it, made it sound old, respectable, like it belonged to history, not to her body. In this country, in this century, a man could sell his wife, not loudly, not proudly, but legally enough that no one stopped him, especially not if she was poor, especially not if there were debts, especially not if she had already learned to be quiet. She had learned early. Silence kept the peace. Silence kept the blows shorter. Silence kept food on the table. Silence was survival. Until it wasn't. The man who bought her did not speak on the walk. That was worse. Words could be prepared for. Silence left space. Space filled with thoughts she could not stop. She counted steps. She counted breaths. She counted the time between birdsong. Anything to keep from counting what she had lost. Her name, her place, her future. They reached a small house at the edge of town, wood warped, roof patched. Not worse than what she knew, not better either. He opened the door, stepped aside. She entered. Habit. Inside smelled of smoke and old cloth. A single table, a single chair, a bed pushed against the wall. He closed the door. Still no words. He hung his coat, sat, finally looked at her, not with hunger, not with triumph, with assessment. You'll sleep there, he gestured. You'll cook when there's food. A pause. You'll keep quiet. She nodded. That part she knew. He leaned back, studied her again. You're younger than I expected. She said nothing. That's fine. He stood, went to the window, looked out. I paid fair. She nodded again. Payment did not feel fair, but fairness had never belonged to her. He left the room. She stood alone. For the first time since the market. Alone, but not free. She sat on the edge of the bed, hands shaking now that no one could see. She pressed them together, forced them still. Crying would not change anything. Crying had never changed anything. She lay down, fully clothed, stared at the ceiling, waited for night, waited for whatever came next. Elsewhere in town, people moved on. The sale became a sentence. A sentence became a memory faded. That was how it usually went. But something lingered, not in the market, not in the crowd, in the quiet spaces where records were kept, where debts were tallied, where names were written and rewritten. Something about that transaction did not sit clean, not because it was cruel. Cruelty was common, because it was rushed, because the debt had been larger than spoken, because the man who paid did not haggle, because the receipt was taken, not left, and because the woman did not resist. That last part would matter later, not now. Now she slept in a stranger's house, sold, forgotten, believed finished. Morning came without ceremony, no rooster, no knock. Just light slipping through the cracks in the shutters like it had something to apologize for. She woke before she meant to. That was habit. Her body had learned not to trust rest. For a moment, just a small dangerous moment, she forgot where she was. Then the smell returned. Smoke, old wood, a stranger's space. Memory settled back into place like a weight. She sat up slowly, listened. Nothing. No footsteps, no coughing, no breath from the other side of the room. The house felt empty in a way that wasn't absence, but restraint, as if sound itself had been warned to behave. She stood, straightened her dress, ran her fingers through her hair, tying it back with a strip of cloth she'd kept hidden in her sleeve. Some things, even when sold, she would not give away. She stepped into the main room. The chair was empty, the door unlatched. Cold air leaked in from outside. He was gone. Not fled, not vanished. Just gone. That unsettled her more than his presence had. Men who disappeared without explanation usually returned with expectations. She waited. Minutes passed, then longer. Her stomach tightened. Not from hunger yet, but from anticipation. Finally, she moved, approached the hearth. Ashes cold, no food left out, no instruction written, nothing prepared. It was as if she'd been placed there and forgotten. She sat at the table, folded her hands again, waited. Waiting had been her skill for years, but this waiting felt different. Not controlled, not imposed, unclaimed. He returned near midday. She heard him before she saw him. Boots slow on gravel, measured, not drunk, not rushed. He entered carrying a bundle of firewood, set it down, nodded once. "Eat when you can," he said. That was it. He washed his hands, sat, said nothing more. She watched him from the edge of her vision. Men always revealed themselves in small ways. How they handled objects, how they breathed when tired, how they filled silence. He did not fill it, he let it exist. That was unfamiliar. She stood, found bread in a sack by the wall, hard but edible. She tore a piece, offered it. He waved it away. Later, she ate slowly, carefully. Every bite tasted like a test. He watched her eat, not with appetite, with curiosity. "You don't ask questions," he said eventually. She swallowed. "No." "Why?" She considered lying, but lying required energy. "Questions don't change answers." He looked at her longer this time, as if measuring the weight of that sentence. "Who taught you that?" She shrugged. "Life." That earned a sound from him. Not quite a laugh, not quite approval. Something between. He stood, went to the door, paused with his hand on the latch. "You can go into town if you want," he said. She blinked. The words didn't land properly. "Go where?" "Town." He glanced at her. "I didn't buy a prisoner." The sentence hung there, dangerous, confusing. "I paid a debt." He left. The door closed. She remained standing. Her heart began to pound, not from fear, but from the unfamiliar shape of possibility. Go into town. No one had said that to her in years. Permission had never been part of her life, but permission could be revoked. She stayed. Days passed, then more. The pattern settled oddly. He worked, left early, returned late, sometimes brought food, sometimes did not. He never touched her, never raised his voice, never asked for anything beyond what she already knew how to give. Clean space, quiet presence, order. She kept the house as best she could, swept, mended, arranged. Work gave shape to time. Time distracted from thinking. Still, things did not align. He never drank to excess, never gambled, never complained of money. When neighbors passed, they nodded at him with something close to respect. That did not fit. A man who bought a wife for debt should not carry himself like that, nor be treated like that. She noticed details, coins counted, but never hoarded, boots well made though worn, hands rough, but clean, and eyes that looked past things, as if they belonged to a man accustomed to more than he let on. She said nothing. She always said nothing, but she began to watch. In town, whispers started, not loud, not sharp, just curious. "Did you see her?" "Who?" "The one sold last week." "Ah, yes. She walks alone. She doesn't flinch. She shops with exact coins. She looks straight ahead." None of that should have mattered, but it did. Women who were sold usually disappeared. They bent, they broke, they carried marks. This one did not. And the man who bought her, he doesn't drink. He doesn't boast. He doesn't explain. People did not like what they could not place. One afternoon she returned from the river carrying water. A woman stood near the path, well-dressed, older, eyes sharp, too sharp. "You're the new one," the woman said. She stopped. "Yes." The woman looked her over. "You were sold." A statement, not a question. "Yes." No shame, just truth. The woman smiled thinly. "Does he treat you well?" She chose her words carefully. "He does not hurt me." That seemed to satisfy something. The woman leaned closer. "You know what happens to girls like you, don't you?" She met the woman's gaze. "Yes." "Good." The woman stepped back. "Then remember your place." She walked away, leaving behind the echo of a warning. That night, the man returned later than usual. His jaw was tight. He said nothing. She served what little there was. They ate in silence. Then he spoke. "Someone spoke to you today." She froze. "Yes." "Who?" "A woman by the river." He nodded slowly. "What did she say?" She hesitated. Truth was safer than guessing. "She told me to remember my place." His hand stopped in mid-motion. The room cooled. After a long moment, he said quietly, "You have a place." She waited. "With me," he finished. The words were simple, but they landed like a fracture. She nodded. Still said nothing, but something shifted. Because men who bought wives did not say things like that, and because towns that sold women did not tolerate disruptions. Something was moving, slow, unseen, but inevitable. The first accusation came quietly, as these things always do. It arrived wrapped in politeness, a pause too long at the market stall, a look that lingered half a second more than necessary, a voice lowered, not to hide, but to invite others closer. She walks like she owns the ground. She doesn't look down. She forgets what she is. The words traveled faster than truth ever did, and the truth, whatever it was, had not yet decided what shape to take. She noticed the change before anyone spoke it aloud. The butcher stopped meeting her eyes. The baker counted her coins twice. A child stared at her openly until his mother pulled him back, whispering sharply. The air had shifted. Not hostile, not yet, but alert, like an animal sensing movement in tall grass. At home, she said nothing. She had learned long ago that naming danger did not lessen it. Sometimes it sharpened it. He noticed anyway. He always did. "You're quieter," he said one evening. She looked up from the bowl she was washing. "I am always quiet." He studied her. "You weren't." That unsettled her, because it meant he had been paying attention. "They watch me now," she said carefully. His jaw tightened. "Yes," he said. They sat with that truth between them, like a blade laid flat on a table, not cutting yet, but ready. The town had rules, not written, not agreed upon aloud, but enforced all the same. Women who were sold were expected to shrink, to disappear into their households, to become background noise. She did not. She walked upright. She spoke when spoken to. She did not avert her eyes. And worse, she was treated gently. That was unforgivable. Kindness toward the wrong person was seen as a challenge, and challenges demanded correction. It came in the form of an invitation, a note delivered by a boy too young to understand what he carried. "Dinner," it read, "at Madame Harlowe's." She knew the name. Everyone did. Madame Harlowe did not host dinners. She hosted judgments. "I don't want to go," she said quietly. He looked at the note, then at her. "They will come here if you don't." That was not a threat. That was strategy. She nodded. "I'll go." Madame Harlowe's house smelled of lavender and old decisions. Women sat in a semicircle, all well-fed, all well-dressed, all with eyes that assessed rather than welcomed. She stood at the threshold, alone. Madame Harlowe gestured to a chair. "Sit." She did. They did not offer food. They did not offer tea. They offered questions. "Do you know what kind of example you're setting? You walk freely. You speak freely. You forget how you arrived here." She kept her hands folded. "I remember." "Then act like it." Another voice cut in. "Your husband spoils you." The word husband sounded strange in that room, too legitimate. "He paid for you," someone said. "That gives him rights." She lifted her eyes. "What rights?" A pause. No one answered, because saying it aloud made it ugly. Madame Harlowe leaned forward. "You are fortunate," she said. "Most girls in your position suffer." "I know." "Then stop provoking attention." She considered that. "I don't provoke," she said softly. "I exist." The room stiffened. Madame Harlowe smiled thinly. "Existence is not neutral," she said. "Not for someone like you." She stood. The chair scraped the floor. The sound was loud. Final. "I will go now." Madame Harlowe's smile vanished. "You may. But understand this," the woman said coldly. "Towns have memories, and they do not forgive those who disrupt their order." She inclined her head, then left. He was waiting when she returned. He did not ask. She did not explain. They sat together in the dim light. "They will come," he said finally. "Yes." "Are you afraid?" She thought of the block, the rope, the crowd. I know fear, she said, but this feels different. How? Before, I was alone. He looked at her. So am I. No, she said. The word surprised them both. You're not. Silence followed. Not uncomfortable, not tense, something like acknowledgement. He stood, went to the chest by the wall, opened it, removed something wrapped in cloth, set it on the table. Coins, gold, more than she had ever seen in one place. Her breath caught. I am not who they think, he said. I know, she replied. That startled him. You do? She nodded. You don't live like a desperate man. He exhaled slowly. I came here to see who people were when they believed nothing could be gained from me. And? He looked at her. I found you. The words settled between them, heavy, true. Outside, the town slept, unaware that its careful balance had already begun to crack, because it had mistaken silence for submission and humility for weakness, and now it had been noticed. They did not come at night. That would have been honest. They came in daylight. With purpose, with witnesses, with the confidence of people who believed the ground itself agreed with them. It began with a knock, firm, measured, official. She felt it before she heard it, that tightening behind the ribs, the body remembering danger before the mind catches up. He was already on his feet. I'll answer, he said. No, she replied, and stood beside him. When he opened the door, the street was full, not crowded, arranged, men in coats, women with folded arms. The constable stood at the front, hat in hand, eyes carefully blank. We have concerns, the constable said. Of course they did. Madame Harlowe stood just behind him, her mouth set, satisfied. This union, the constable continued, has drawn attention. He said nothing. Let the silence stretch. The constable cleared his throat. There are questions about consent, about propriety, about whether she was being held against her will. She almost laughed, but she didn't. She stepped forward instead. I am here because I choose to be. Madame Harlowe scoffed. You were sold. Yes, and that makes your choice irrelevant. She felt the heat rise in her chest. Not anger, resolve. I was sold, she said, and yet I stand. The constable shifted. This is irregular. So is hunger, she replied. So is forcing girls onto blocks. The street stilled. She could feel it. That moment when people realize the script has changed. Madame Harlowe stepped forward. You speak too boldly for someone who knows her place. I know my place, she said. It's here. She took his hand, did not look away. They did not arrest them, not yet. They retreated instead, promising review, promising oversight, promising order. Promises are easy when power believes it has time. The consequences came quietly after. The butcher refused service. The baker closed his door. Neighbors turned their faces. Isolation is the town's favorite weapon. He watched it happen, all of it, and he decided the experiment was over. That night, he lit every candle in the house. She watched him from the table. You're afraid, she said. No, he replied. I'm finished hiding. He pulled papers from the chest, seals, signatures, proof. I built shipping routes, he said. I own land in 3 ports. I fund half the grain that passes through this region. She listened. Not dazzled, just steady. They don't know, she said. They will. And then, he met her eyes. Then they will kneel. She shook her head. No. That stopped him. They won't kneel, she said. They'll pretend they always stood beside us. That made him smile. Slow, respectful. You understand power, he said. I understand people, she replied. He sent word. Not to the town, to the river. Ships arrived within days. Men who did not ask permission. Documents that did not request approval. Grain prices shifted. Contracts changed. Names whispered in places the town could not reach. And suddenly, the constable returned, hat lower, voice softer. We may have been mistaken. Madame Harlow did not accompany him this time. We wish to ensure harmony. Harmony, a word used by those who benefit from silence. There will be no more interference, the constable said. And her status? The man hesitated. She will be recognized as respectable. She stepped forward. No, she said. The constable blinked. I don't want recognition, she continued. I want change. He stared. She spoke clearly. No more blocks. No more sales. No more pretending this is tradition. The constable swallowed. That would disrupt. Yes, she said. It would. The town did not collapse. It adjusted. Slowly, reluctantly, but undeniably. The block was dismantled. Quietly. At dawn. No announcement. No apology. Just absence. Madame Harlow withdrew. Her dinners ended. Her influence thinned. Not because she was punished, but because the town no longer needed her certainty. One evening she stood at the window, watched women walk freely past the house. Some glanced up. Some nodded. Some did not. That was fine. He came to stand beside her. You changed this place, he said. She shook her head. No, she replied. I survived it. Outside, the street moved on. Different. Not healed, but altered. And in that alteration, justice had arrived. Not loudly, not cleanly, but permanently. Years later, no one spoke of the sale. Not directly. It became something else. A story softened by time. Edges dulled. Intentions blurred. That was expected. What mattered was what remained. The absence of the block. The presence of choice. She was never called a savior. She would have rejected it. She was called a woman. That was enough. He never corrected the rumors about how he made his fortune. Let the town imagine cleverness, luck, inheritance. The truth was quieter. He had recognized worth where others saw utility. They lived plainly, on purpose. Power unused is still power. And sometimes, that restraint is the truest justice of all.